What's up, world? You already know you're tuned in with the #1 podcast anywhere in the world. This is How Real Is He/She, where Ab, Bree, and
Ashley.
And you already know, we always want to have a good time, but when we have a good time, we also sponsored by
Good time.
And with that being said, we always powered by 2Up Audio and Visual. And this week we have a special guest. Our guest is 25 years in service working for DHS. This gentleman has 25 years in social work, supervisor, an adjunct professor, alumni of Shippensburg and Temple University, and a member of Omega Psi Phi. We have Mr. Lester Michael Goodman. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have you.
You got a lot of that going on. I was
Little
like,
bit,
whoa,
little
is
bit.
he gonna stop at? I didn't know when he was going to stop at. Okay.
You got a lot
I
of
tell you the prize.
It's more to come.
That's the short version.
Yeah.
And you know you're from our area, DHS, Division of Human Services.
Department of Human Services.
Department of Human Services. And that intrinsic covers family structure, children, and a little bit of safety, right, with social work. Let me ask you a question. When did you first start working for DHS?
I started in August 1990 by accident.
Remember that, by accident.
By accident.
What happened?
Because my training wasn't in social work. And my training was in journalism. And what happened was I wanted to focus on public relations and advertising. So in the summer of '90, I call it my period of transition. I didn't know if I was going to go relocate, if I was going to go back to school, or what I was going to do. And actually, it was my niece who worked for DHS who was saying that you need to come to the department. And keep in mind, my mother, who worked for the city, was saying you need to come get this good government job. But when I came out, the era that I came out of school, working for the government was corny, because we fell into the height. What was, I guess, a measure of success was working in corporate America.
Gotcha.
Walking around with the blue pinstripe suit, the starched white shirt, and an English rep tie.
Gotcha.
And that was a measure of success. Keep in mind also during that period, we were like I say, the post-civil rights babies.
Gotcha.
So they were allowing black people to come into the corporate arena, but not move past that glass ceiling.
That's your question. So when you start off in social work, how many other black men were there when you first got on the scene?
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot.
You didn't see that?
There's a lot. But keep in mind, social work is a female-dominated profession.
Gotcha.
If it's not heavily populated by males, it's predominated by females. Now, most of the black men who were at DHS came out of the gang control population.
Gotcha. Understand. So when you first started, right, in social work, back then, we're talking what, the 90s?
90s.
So in the 90s in Philly, we was what, still in the crack epidemic?
We were right in the midst of it.
Okay. And you were going out the houses at that point.
Okay, my responsibility was this, right? When I joined the department, first of all, this is right, I almost didn't get the job. I mean, I'll put it this way, I got the job, but I almost didn't complete training because my philosophy with regards to raising kids came out of my culture.
Okay.
Keep in mind, I come out of a culture that says spare the rod, spoil the child. Now, I'm immersed into a culture.
Can I just ask you a question? Just for the lame people that might not know what's going on.
What does that mean?
What that mean? You gotta let them know what that means.
What it means is right here. The way I grew up, if you cut up, excuse my language, you get your ass whooped.
For sure.
Now, I'm now in a culture that says you cannot tap that ass.
Right.
Just keeping it real with you.
Right.
I'm now in a culture that says that if you hit your kid, that constitutes abuse. I'm now in a culture which gives me naively
Mm-hmm.
the right to walk into your home and tell you how to raise your
Okay.
children.
So, and that's a good thing what you just said, because all of us are at the age of knowing that, you know, where you come up as, where you got your ass dealt with, right? So, but the generation, probably two under me and you, probably one under you, now kids have a pass to act a fool. And it's kind of crazy because kids know they right. So much so they want to inflict what they want on the adult. That's why our school system is probably a little past, a little behind the times. You growing up knowing the difference, how hard was your fight trying to tell them, listen, this ain't where I come from? How hard was your fight within working inside that construct?
But let me say this to you. First, let me correct you on something. Kids don't know they're right. That what they think they know is what has been perpetrated.
Okay.
So what you see is kids who actually abuse the system, right? Parents who, this is going to sound harsh, or too lazy to read and understand how the system works. One, two, rather, people who work within the system who really don't know the law. They just know their understanding of the law. Because see, the law does not say you cannot hit your child.
I was just about to clarify
Can
that.
I ask one question? This always bothered me. Like, even with DHS, I be seeing certain kids and stuff like that. All right, they tell you don't discipline the kids, right? Well, not,
That's
well,
correct.
not don't discipline them. They lead you to believe that if you put hands on your kids, you're going.
That's
And
correct.
that's what he's saying.
Right.
is
So
the
no, what I'm saying.
misinterpretation.
But then after they get so wild, they go back to the parents and say, "Why are you not disciplining your kids?"
Okay, this is how it goes. First of all, the law. This is why I say people are lazy, because they need to go, especially in this age of
Digital era.
technology.
The digital age.
Well, it's
yeah.
simple. Just Google it,
Yeah.
right? The law. There's nowhere written in the law that says you cannot chastise a child. There's nowhere in the law that says you cannot use physical discipline on your child.
It's legal.
The law is very clear on what constitutes abuse and what constitutes neglect, right? What happens is, let me put it this way. You can mollywop your kid from the left wall to the right wall. You can whoop that ass from the floor to the ceiling. That's a
can.
private matter. Child welfare is not walking down the street to say, okay, who's in here beating the kids? However, the moment that kid crosses that threshold, walks out your door, that private matter becomes a public concern.
Okay.
So now,
Why?
If though,
Why?
right?
Huh?
If they have like bruising, because like you said,
Yes.
it's acceptable to use physical punishment and it's effective. Like I mean, there's this whole soft parenting era, and not to say that it's not effective, because I do think that physical punishment, in order for it to be effective, like you said, we don't know, but it has to be accompanied with a lesson, and it has to be immediate.
I'm a professional
At physical punishment.
Hey, get
I
nasty.
did an invitation on that, and to your point, people don't understand. They just think that they can't put their hands on their children, but you can. And Southern, when I was growing up in North Carolina, thank you.
yes.
I'm glad
So
you
I know
mentioned
that wasn't happening
No,
in the
no, no,
city,
no,
but
no,
in
no,
the
no.
South,
Don't say it
I
wasn't
mean,
happening.
of course I wouldn't get
What
it.
happened
My
here?
little teacher.
It happened
Y'all
here.
was getting spanked by
Yes,
you too?
yes.
My neighbors and everybody else.
So let me
Listen.
let me tell you this right here. The power of physical discipline is not so much the physical discipline; it's the fear of it. For example, my father did not. It wasn't every day he came home he whooped my butt. My father had this is going to sound brutal, Cuban. This is a whole nother world, because it goes back to the slavery experience. My father had a strap that he called the persuader, right? And what it is it persuades you to do right. And basically what it was a strap that had a slip in the middle, right? And if you got hit twice, right? I can count on my hands. This is why I said I almost didn't get this job. I can count on my hands the number of times that my father used that. One, his mother's my twin sister. Can you say that?
You can say
I already said it, right? You said it. I already said it, right? But his mother, my twin sister, right? One time I got it was my father moved, and we moved into 63rd Street. When you walked out of our house, there was one door, and there was a beautiful stained glass window.
corridor.
It was the door, right, led to the front porch. That thing was so beautiful that my sister, my mother washed it. You could see the different colorations from the sun. So one day, my sister and I got in a fight, and I was beating my sister, his mother, right? She ran to the house, right? And I chased her, and I slammed the door, and it that was the one time I got them persuaded. The other time I got it was, again, when we were integrated, we moved to 3rd Street, Winfield was a predominantly Jewish area. Me hanging around with the cool guys, which was the older guys, don't be delinquents, we was busting parking meters, basically stealing. And I got caught.
You were still.
I got caught, and that's another story, right? That was the second infraction where I got caught with the persuader. But this is why I almost didn't get the job. The department says you cannot allow corporal punishment. And my challenge was that the corporal punishment that my father inflicted on me kept me out of your pocketbook. It kept me from shooting you in your back. It made the difference between me being a doctor that's pulling a bullet out of your back versus the person that's putting the bullet in your back. So it wasn't so much the physical discipline, it was the fear of this physical discipline. So now, I'm in this world, right, where people are actually walking to people's houses and saying that you cannot physically discipline your child, which there is no law that says that. Okay, the law defines child abuse as severe pain or disfigurement, which could be relative, because you could take a child, right, and hit that child, and that child would say it hurts to the high heavens. It constitutes abuse based on what the child is saying, right? You could take a fair complected child, smack that child in the face, and the blood coagulates, and now he has a bruise.
I mean, the face
right?
might be a problem though anyway.
Hold on a second.
Hitting somebody in the face is kind of.
Let's say you hit on the thigh.
Yeah.
That blood coagulates, and now you have a bruise. That can be constituted. That could be defined as abuse. But here's the trigger. Suppose the parent is a teacher. Suppose the parent is a janitor who works in a school or a hospital where he's around kids. So now what happens, this person, suppose that same parent has 5 other kids. So now what happens, this is where it gets really, really tricky. So now what happens is that parent has a record, right, which jeopardizes his job.